This week in Morning Glory Motorsports, we turn this giant sheet of carbon fiber into a floor for this car. Now, not all sheets of carbon fiber are equal, we'll say. I'll try and explain this how it was explained to me. This is a piece that is fiberglass backed. So they take a sheet of carbon, lay it down on a flat piece of, he uses glass, and then they'll lay a piece of fiberglass on it, and then they'll dump resin on it and like roll it out. And then they'll put it like in a big vacuum bag and like try and suck the air out. So that's one way to do it. And fiberglass is heavier than carbon fiber, but it bends. This stuff does not. The next way to do it is to, same way, lay the carbon down, then lay another piece of carbon on it. So you have carbon, they put the resin on it, roll it out, put it in a bag, vacuum it. Extremely strong, it doesn't bend quite as much as this, still bends a little bit. The next way to do it is the way this is done. It's infused. So they'll take carbon, put it in a bag with no resin, and then put a vacuum on one side and resin on the other and just draw resin through it. So this only has as much resin as it needs. Whereas when you roll it out, there's excess resin. So this is the lightest and strongest option as far as carbon fiber, but it is also the most expensive. I'll put a little video up here. Hopefully they get me one to show you. This is Full Throttle Signs. Again, Full Throttle Composites. I don't know what he calls himself anymore, but this is a friend of mine. Does beautiful work. They do mostly OBS Chevy parts, so go check them out if you have an OBS Chevy, or if you need flat stuff. We've made a bed cover with this. I've used their parts before on an OBS Chevy, and this stuff is unbelievably nice. Now that the firewall's finished up, let's move to the back. Start getting ribbon strips in here. These things. Oh, there they are. Remember, they were to hold the carbon. We use rivets. And this makes the entire bottom of the car flat. So we got to put some in here. Across here. As a rear bulkhead. And then carbon here. And it'll close everything off to the cabin. This is just a kitchen magnet to hang like knives or something off your cabinets. If you try and weld close to a magnet, it pushes the arc away. So you may see me get mad here. Who knows? We'll see. Sometimes welding your magnet can really get to you. So I mentioned in the last video, we ended up not even using these pieces my dad was making. We made them out of steel and could not get them in here. So now we're gonna make them out of carbon. Once he's happy with his template, he cuts it out of the carbon, starts fitting it. And yes, this will have a hole in it for the drive shaft to pass through, just not yet. Now moving on to the ribbon strips on the floor. The passenger side and the middle of this will be made out of carbon fiber, and in the last video I showed that the driver's side is made out of steel. And there we have all the ribbon strips in the driver area. I can tell you it's much easier if you just do this from the beginning like this.
So my dad will get the steel floor fitted up. It's required to have steel or aluminum under the driver. As far as I know, I don't think carbon can be. But before we can weld that in, I want to get some new harness tabs welded to the chassis. These are double shear. I like to use double shear for the waist strap. Now, because I've moved the driver back so much further than it used to be, this harness tab for the shoulder belts is not going to work anymore. So let me get this cut off and cleaned up and ready for the new one. So I'm going to reuse the existing seat bracket. He likes the seat. It's a very light setup with the carbon piece. So let's get that fitted in here, tacked in. And then we'll start fitting some legs to it down to the floor structure, and we'll get it welded in. Of course, we got to test it out, make sure we like it, you know, just in case I ever have to drive.
Well, I think we have a good position for the seat here. So I guess let's continue welding it in, make some more feet for it. And
with the seat bracket all finished up, let's weld in the metal floor underneath the driver here. We're going to rivet it in first, and then let's move to the silicon bronze. Same stuff we used on the firewall, but this is overhead, so it's a little harder. And while I'm doing that, my dad is starting his template to do the passenger side in the carbon fiber. Now, with me being finished up welding, I am going to move on to trying to fit these carbon wheel tubs.
so part of the floor is wheel tubs. We have some carbon fiber wheel tubs. This can be an extremely daunting task, I can tell you. Especially if you're using carbon fiber. If you cut a little bit too much, well, you can't weld it back on. Basically, take your time is all I can say. Small cuts, small cuts. Now, admittedly, I'm cheating a little bit. Let me show you. So I have the original wheel tubs that came out of this. So I have the fender profile already. You could call it cheating. I'm just being resourceful. I'm just trying to save time. If I was to do this from the beginning, you know, you got to make a template of this gigantic tub. Unless you just want to cut carbon and try and patch it back if you get it wrong, I guess. Here are our carbon fiber wheel tubs. Rough mark here from using the old wheel tubs. As you can see, we've got one carbon fiber wheel tub fitted. So we'll clean this up a little bit more. I shoved these tubs up a little further than the other ones, so we can fit a little bigger tire if he wants. So I gotta cut that a little more, and then we'll get to trimming the carbon.
I didn't take any time lapse of the fitting of the passenger side tub. It's just a lot of up and down and me wrestling with a carbon fiber tub on the ground. We'll go ahead and put the passenger side back in so I can reference it, take some measurements quick, and then again, up and down and wrestle. I am cutting these with tin snips. That's mainly what I use for the straight cuts. I guess once I'm happy with the placement of the tubs, we're going to move on to a back bumper support. And while I'm doing that, my dad is going to do the centerpiece, which is going to be in carbon fiber. He's making a template right now. And once I'm happy with this bumper bracket, I'll get it tacked in. Let me put the tub back in it so I can see if it's where I want it.
Another reason I do a support like this is that is real sturdy now. I threaded this and counterbored the plastic, so this will be flush. Make a piece of carbon for here, make a piece of carbon for there. This is kind of like guess and check stuff, like, I don't know. Somewhat of science, but just go at it.
So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Grab our poster board and start making a template. I start by making a profile of the lower part of the rear quarter where the bumper bolts on. And when I'm happy with it, transfer it to carbon. Drill some holes, put some clecos in it to hold it there while I mark out for the rest of the holes. This is a double-sided rivet strip that I can put in the brake, and then I can use it to follow the contour of the tub down to this next piece of carbon. This will just hold the two together. This also has the same spacing as the ones that I weld onto the chassis. My dad has the 2 floor pieces that we need for the front part of the chassis finished in carbon, so I'm going to help him drill some holes and get it secured in so he can drill the rest of the holes. Then we'll move on to this middle back piece. He already has it made, so I'm going to climb in the chassis and drill some holes. So the next piece of the puzzle is making this very back piece of carbon that flows into the bumper. Whoever cut this bumper didn't cut it very evenly, so I'm kind of artificially making a lip for the carbon to fit into. Tying the carbon into the stock rear bumper so that air kind of just flows off it is probably the most time-consuming part of this. Just using a heat gun here. I think they're called duckbill vice grips, and some compressed air. So get it hot, bend it up, and use the compressed air to hold it in place. Now we'll move on to the back piece of carbon, but we're going to run into a little bit of an issue.
So we've got a bit of an issue. I can't fit a drill in back behind here to drill through to get a cleat coating. So what I do is I'll take a pick, little scribe, and we'll set this up there where we want it, then just reach in here and scribe a little hole. All right, we'll drill that. I keep talking about these cleat coat things, but it takes the place of a rivet. You can take it in and out. Instead of holding that up there to scribe all of these holes, I just take this piece of ribbon strip, put it to that, and then I'll drill the holes because these are all uniform. And while I'm at it, I'm going to put some rib nuts in the carbon. So we're going to bolt the carbon to the bumper so the bumper is still removable without having to drill out a bunch of rivets. We'll get this piece put back in there, and then we'll start working on the rest of the corner. Now we're moving to this corner, the front corner. You got to try and close all this off. Try and close this off because you don't want any like rocks and debris sitting in here, because as soon as you launch, where's it go? Right on their tire. Not good. Just get this welded in. I have some ribbon strips here already. I have a piece of carbon to put over here, and then it'll be filling this. Well, unfortunately, I failed to film most of this corner. I think I filmed the other side corner. That'll be a little bit later in the video. And there we have one corner, or one side of carbon finished. It's been tedious, we'll say. Now I have patterns for this side at least to make it a little easier. Hopefully they fit. So we got to put a brake in this carbon because we're trying to do 1,000 different planes at once apparently. So I heat it up along where I want to break it. See it kind of start to droop. Let's get it secured in here where it belongs. Now, I'm not real sure how much this needs broke, but we'll try there. We'll start there. If you cool it down right away, it holds its shape better. All right, let's try that. We're back. Need some more. All right, that's quite a bit more. try again. Well, look at that. I don't even have anything holding it in. Maybe I'm getting the hang of it. I don't know. I'm sure I'll forget next time I do it anyway. What I've been attaching the bottom of this with are these 832 countersunk bolts. Countersink plastic, and they go up in there. You can see. So, and I'm using these rib nuts on the backside. That tape will be coming off, of course. We just have it there to help when we bend the carbon.
These rib nuts can be an absolute pain if you don't hold it at the exact right angle to get it going. I don't know.
Oh.
I'm telling you, sometimes they can just be an absolute pain. But anyway, let's move on to the very last piece in this back corner. We'll heat it up a little bit, cool it down, let it conform to the bumper, and then we'll drill some holes in it to secure it to the bumper.
And there's the back corner finished. So I have the front corner finished over here. I'm doing it over here.
I'm scrambling around trying to find Clecos. I'm running out. This thing looks like a porcupine.
Last piece of the carbon puzzle, and I have to steal some Clecos from somewhere. I guess here, take one. I'm out of Clecos. I have an exponential amount of Clecos and I'm out. That's it. That's it for the carbon fiber. Job done, we'll say. Well, this part of it. Still got to take it all back out, paint, seam seal, pull all the plastic off, and then put it all back up. What a time-consuming job. So I talked about the differences in the carbon fibers. I have 4 different ones set up here. This is half carbon, half fiberglass. Laid up, like I was talking about, they just lay it down and roll the resin in. This is carbon infused. This is carbon, I think, 3 sheets of it infused. And then this is carbon, but it is laid up, rolled on, just like the fiberglass stuff. So I already went through and got a thickness of all these. This stuff is 028. The fiberglass stuff is the thickest at 060. The infused stuff is 028 also. And then triple carbon, I guess I should make an amendment here. Carbon, is 050. So I have a piece of cardboard that is 1 square foot, 12 inch by 12 inch. Mostly because this is all scraps and I cut them to all be 1 square foot so we can do kind of a comparison. So I got my scale, and here you can see roughly 1 square foot. .6 ounces. Now we have to convert that to pounds. So you take how many ounces divided by 16, which is how many ounces are in a pound, and that gets you pounds. So the laid up and bag stuff is 0.225 of a pound. All right. Next, we'll do the carbon fiberglass. 7.7. So we'll take 7.7, divide that by 16, we get 0.48125. Well over double the poundage. So next we'll do the triple carbon. 4.9 ounces divided by 16 is 0.3625. And last but not least, 3 ounces. So now we have the weights for everything converted to pounds. I took some measurements earlier underneath this car. And got this many square inches and turned it into feet. Then we can do pounds per square foot. So this does not include the tubs. I guess mostly because I think that whoever makes the tubs, they list a weight maybe, and you cut most of it away anyway. And it's too hard to figure out for what I'm doing. So we have a total of 33.31 feet in this entire car. I guess what I'm trying to show here is if you do the entire car, depending on what carbon you buy, is how much weight all of it's going to add. So the carbon that's laid up, you know, they lay it on a table, put the resin in it, then bag it and vacuum it. 0.225 times 33.31 is 7.5 pounds total. That's for the entire car. The carbon in fiberglass, 33.31 times 0.481225, 16 pounds. It's quite a difference, huh? Then we'll do 33.31 times 0.30625. That'd be 10 pound. And then 33.31 times 1875. Now there's obviously a giant cost difference. I wouldn't say giant, but I think that half carbon, half fiberglass for a 4x8 sheet is $500, and a carbon hand laid and then bagged is $700, I think. This is just off the top of my head. And then this one, carbon infused 4x8 sheet, it's a little bigger than 4x8, is $800. For extra $100 in this entire car, you could save 1.26 pounds. Or just take a in the morning. So I guess what I'm getting at is it worth the extra money to you? I can't answer that. To me, I also can't answer that. Because the carbon infused stuff is the strongest. I can tell you that. This doesn't need to be like that strong, I guess. It's just kind of deflecting air off the bottom of this. So that's for you to make your mind up. Well, I think we're gonna end it there. Carbon floor is done. Seats in it. Belt stuff's in it. Harness stuff's in it. Next week, steering, pedals, brake lines, transmission tunnel, drive shaft tunnel, and some pieces of steel up there at the driver's feet, like I talked about. But if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I'm sure that was painful to watch. Again, I still hate carbon. Even though it did turn out it's pretty sick, I must say.